Hi friends, this is going to be a very quick video. I am using this video to kind of demonstrate some of the React North Star components. Uh, these two look pretty cool to me, and I just kind of put this in along with the side panel app that we have developed before. So let me jump in and show you the two things that I've added here that kind of seems to be pretty look nice to look at, especially inside teams. So the first thing I have added here is actually a button and a pop-up and a dialog, right? So those are the three main things. So the idea here is actually, it's a pop-up kind of, it's a React component that has been built for the team's North Star, and it will actually kind of open up a small pop-up, and you can have different icons here that you can use to show, um, the three dots for the more icon, or you have like an arrow that opens up and whatnot, right? You can customize that, and then you show this is the text that comes on the button, and when you click on it you can have an exhaustive content. In this particular case I'm showing a disclaimer that I picked up from somewhere. So that's the pop-up. Then the second one is a more exhaustive version of the pop-up, where you want to kind of give a dialog box with a agree or do not agree. You can of course change the text, and here the advantage is the content can actually be more HTML oriented, like paragraphs, bullet points, or whatever you want it to be. So this gives you a little bit more flexibility, and the idea is you can style each of these, and you can have one scroll bar for what you want, and you can have a header and a close icon to close the text, and then you can do whatever you want, right? So these two, I'll show you these two in action, and I think I made a video for that because it looks very cool when you actually run it. So same thing, Teams FX components and North Star React components, and then we are trying to run this. So I'm going to just the same idea. It checks everything, runs the entire process, and it will come up here in a second. Um, it's going to pop up here in a minute. Start a development server for React, and it's going to pop it out. So it starts out here. We don't have to keep doing this again and again because we've already opened up the React app and put it in our meeting. So you don't really have to keep doing this. Like, you don't have to accept this button and say add. So if you do this, what happens is there are two versions of the same app get added into the meeting. So you don't have to do this. So you can kind of close out of this and keep the app running. So you need to keep this browser running, because if you close the browser, everything that the Teams FX Visual Studio Code will kind of go away. So keep that up, and then you can go back to our real meeting that we have. If you can switch back to this, you will see here that there's a meeting running, and once you have the meeting running, you can kind of go to this one, the side panel, and click on it. It opens up the side panel, and you can see that it opens up. These are the two things that I've added here. This is what we covered in the previous video. These are the two cool things that we've added. So if you click it here, nothing much happens. I think that's because it doesn't have enough space. But when you share it, right, now the oh, some problem here. Let me add it to the meeting itself. So I think there's some problem when you do that. It doesn't recognize the URL. So let me do one thing. Let me close this out, and then we'll start back up again with the actual meeting that's coming from this from here, right? So the idea is, I think what happened is when you run this a new copy of the app, it actually starts on a different ngrok URL, and that's where I'm having a problem. So it's a good debug thing. So what we can do is just close this one out. So when you run it from Azure, then it will be fine because it keeps the URLs consistent. So we'll try to do the same thing when we can get rid of the old one. So let's try to. I closed everything. Let's go run, start debugging. So I'm going to do the same steps again, but this time we'll add it back, and I'll show you what happens. You will actually see two tabs, and you can kind of remove one of them and then use it. But let's see here what happens. Maybe you really have to add it. I didn't test it out before making the video, so I think you really have to add it to the meeting to make it work. So but let me show you what happens here. It's going to start the server up again, and it's going to launch it. So it's going to come up here in a second. It's going to launch that. And then when you come here, you just pop it down and say add to meeting. Then the same meeting, we'll add this to the same meeting. And we'll set up a tab. So it's going to come up here. It's going to show you the tab here. So it's going to show you the config panel. Yep, there you go. Let's say add. I've added it. Now we join the meeting. I'll show you what really happens. So if we connect to this, it connects to the meeting. And if you see here, there are two versions of the application. Dialog side panel 1. So if you click on that, it opens it up. Side panel, we can actually close this. It's the same app, but it changed the ngrok when you're in development mode, and that's what causes problems. So you can get rid of this, and you can use this one. It shows the same thing. And now hopefully this will trigger a share. So there you go. You can see the share coming on this side. So now this is the area that both the customer and you can view. So if you click on this, it will show you the disclaimer. So that is the part I wanted to show for this particular video. So you can kind of show this pop-up. This was the pop-up component, React component, and you can see that pop-up. It's it is not very powerful because you can't scroll, or it doesn't really look well because it's not HTML. But if you want a more sophisticated version, then you can actually do this dialog component, and that's the reason I was showing you before. The P and the slash P is the paragraphs. They come up so beautifully here, and this acts as a true dialog with a scroll, all in within Teams. So that's a pretty cool thing I wanted to kind of show as a demo. So I just say you can say agree or don't agree, and then to go whatever you want. And this is the same thing as before. The only thing I did was, if you remember, there was checkboxes having issues. So what we have to do is actually don't put the word checked in each box, and I will put in a comment here to say check problem area. So only if there's a problem in a specific thing, we're going to say you can check the box. If we don't see any problem, then we don't really check any boxes. Right, so that's the idea. Let's say the taillights are not working. We are working with the customer to show you them. This the windshield is having some cracks. The fender is having some issues, and seat belts are not probably working, and triangles probably are missing. You can do this inspection and you can submit, and you can see that the condition report has been recorded, right? So, but I would say it is a little bit repetitive when compared to the old video, but the idea was to show off these two components. And I think these two components are pretty cool in that you can use them in different situations. And this is the easier one, pop up, and you click out, it goes away. But this is the more complicated one where you have formatting options, and then you really have to click yes or no. So that's it for this video. Just wanted to showcase those two components so that we can kind of use it in your own project and see how it goes. Okay, thank you.